What's up, my dude? So in this video I'm going to teach you how to make a very basic attraction and joy type of spell jar. Now this is going to be something that's really going to be tailored to whatever you want. This one specifically is for a client that just wants to attract a certain amount of just attraction to them. So it's not really something specific. It's not any sort of lust or any sort of like romantic love or anything like that. It's simply attraction. Simply want to I guess make them some friends in their workplace, or like they have like a certain place that they go to where they're trying to make more friends at. So that's basically what this is going to be for. Now, since this is going to be an example, I'm going to be using a larger jar. You don't necessarily have to use this size of a jar, but this is going to be for the example. And it's also going to be better for you to visualize everything that I'm working with rather than it being in like a very small jar. So first thing you want to do is make sure your jar is empty. Obviously, you don't want any leftover materials into this, but also make sure you leave it out open just so like once you wash it or whatever, it doesn't like build bacteria or something into it. But also you want to make sure that you smoke cleanse this. Glass specifically, I feel like holds a lot more energy than any sort of plastics, even though plastic is more durable. Glass just seems to hold energy for longer, so make sure you sit it out in the sun or do whatever to get the energies cleansed. So first thing you're going to do, like I said, is just cleanse that. Second thing you're going to do is you want to sort of take a few minutes. You don't really have to do this if you already have the materials and you're just doing this on the whim. But if you are like really wanting to put your major effort into this, make sure you set some time to figure out exactly what you want. Now me, I have a list that I'm working on for the client, so I don't really have to worry about that. But if you're someone that's going to be doing this for the first time, especially if it's something that you haven't done before, maybe you've created spell jars before, but this is the first sort of jar of this kind that you're going to be making, make sure you set it to the side, make sure you set out your ingredients, and while you're setting out your ingredients and then everything is just out in front of you, take a piece of paper, write down exactly the outcome that you want and what you are looking for this spell jar. If you want something that's going to attract love, make sure you have the ingredients for love. If you want something that's going to attract happiness, make sure you have the ingredients for happiness. Whatever you want to do for your spell jar is what you want to focus on doing this, so you sort of get into the right mind frame of working on the spell jar before you actually have the ingredients. So once you're done with that, then you're going to add your ingredients, obviously. First thing we're going to add is sugar. It really doesn't matter what kind of sugar. I use this white sugar just because it's what I have on hand. You can also use cane sugar. That's a bit sweeter and a bit more natural of a material, but this is just what I have. Also, if you like to, you can add different effects into different ingredients that you're working with. So with sugar, the client wanted to become sweet around others. They also wanted to attract kindness, ease, and openness from those that they work with. So anything like that, sugar can be used for, and it's also something that will sweeten any sort of effects that you want to put into the spell jar. And as for measurements, I'm just going to do this like how I would for a small jar. So whatever is in this, pretty much just divided by whatever spell jar you have. Or if you want, just make a big jar and then you'll have more ingredients. But the intentions are really what matters, not the amount of ingredients that you have. As you're adding the ingredients or afterwards, like what I like to do is I like to sort of move the jar, put a bit more momentum into the working, and then I want to say what I'm doing. There's a big clump in here. You can break that down. It really doesn't matter, but I'm going to just because I saw it. But yeah, just to sort of get the energies flowing a little bit, especially if you're using a jar without any sort of water. This is really important because you don't want your ingredients to be stagnant, and then it also helps with the layering to move around. So you can just say your affirmations as you're spinning it. If you want to draw something toward you, you do it clockwise. If you want to bring out something or draw something away from you, you can do it anti-clockwise. So the next ingredient is bay leaves. There are multiple different ways that you can go about using bay leaves in your practice. For this spell specifically, I'm going to write the direct affirmations that they want onto leaves. Then on the back, I will create a sigil based on those affirmations, then write it on the back. I'm actually not going to show me adding this until the end, just because it is actually tailored and specific to this person, so we'll have their information on it. But if you were doing this for you, just write whatever affirmations on one side of the leaf, and then on the opposite side you can either use a sigil or you can direct it towards you, so you can use your initials or something like that. Also, something you want to do when you are adding your bay leaves is to add the effects of whatever you're going for. After you have your affirmation, just say, this is set and this is working, this is my intention, this is what I bring forth. That's just something that will help, especially if you have a few different bay leaves. I would suggest 3 for this, but if you have more intentions or maybe your bay leaves are smaller, you can add more, but I would suggest using 3. And then, like I said, having affirmations on one side, opposite side you either have a sigil or something to direct it towards you. And the next ingredient is nutmeg. This is good for any sort of favor, any sort of luck or abundance to you. So this client specifically wanted everything to be a bit smoother with them, but not as demanding, so that's why I chose nutmeg. You would think after doing this for years I'll be better at doing this. So it cut off last time I was talking, but I believe I just ended with talking about nutmeg and different herbs that you can use instead of nutmeg, so like allspice or cinnamon. That'll be a decent substitute for this, but this is good for any sort of opportunity or luck leaning towards you. It's also going to help with any sort of ease brought to you, so it's not going to be as harsh, but it's also going to be something that's a bit smoother of energy to work with. Like I said, you can add a smaller proportion to this. This is just what I'm adding for the jar. But if you would like to, you can just add like a dash of this. I have a small jar for this because I don't use it that often. But it is something that can be used if you want to just attract a bit more ease or complicate. Emerald! Stop it! But this is something that you can use if you don't have the other ingredients. And the next ingredient is star anise. Now this is a pretty new herb for me because I really don't know what I can use this for. Most of my ingredients I used it for cooking, and then I saw if I could use it for anything else. And most of it does have overlap. However, I don't use this that often. I even bought a big container, so I thought I could use it more, but really don't use it that often. But this is good for aligning people with any sort of just like aligning the right person towards you. It's not necessarily for attracting a specific person towards you. It's just for like being seen or being remembered, or just like being just drawn to you. That's basically what star anise is for. I know if you make this into a tea, this is a lot better for like consistently doing that, but like I said, we're going to be using star anise for this. So I would suggest when you are using the star anise, you look for the pods with a bit of the seed actually still in them. Some of them it will just have like the bark and just have the overall thing of it, but some of these also have more than others, and some of them also have a bit of the shorter pieces. So if you're going to be using this for long term, I would suggest using this. If you're just going to be using it for like burning or something, or maybe into a tea, you don't necessarily have to have the little seeds in them. But like I said, that's just a little bit better. Also, I'm using 3. You can have affirmations for each one of them. The ones I have assigned are aligning people to the person. So that's just like aligning the people to them, like their clients or whatever. They're going to be aligned to them, so they're not having like wishy-washy clients or someone that's not going to work well with them. And then also being seen and noticed. So this is something that's sort of tailored to what the bay leaves were, being noticed by certain clients or certain people in the workplace. That's something that you can add to this. So that's not necessarily just for star anise, but that's sort of a direction that you want to go for with this. So yeah, that's also something good for opportunity and favor. Yeah. I normally don't get to see it from this sort of angle. Usually I'm recording this like from a different angle, like up down, but now I can actually see what I'm doing. So yeah. And again, just because there's not as much nutmeg in this does not mean you need to add the entire container. Your intentions matter much more than the materials. This is just for the visuals of it. And also you can kind of see the sugar is more abundant than the nutmeg, which means that it will be sweeter than it is attraction, which is good because you don't want it to be attracting the wrong types and then you just have like unsavory attraction towards others. So make sure you sort of balance that out whenever you are working with this and whenever you are making any sort of spell jar. And the last ingredient, which isn't really an ingredient, is sort of a mixture of ingredients, is my Crown of Success oil. Now, I am actually running low on this because I have been using this a lot recently for clients. But this is something that will not only help you with anything that you put into the spell jar, it will also help to put a bit more of effects and amplification into anything that you're going to be working with. So, this is for attraction for this client. You don't necessarily need to boost that attraction if you are doing the spell, because that's a boost in itself. But this also has a bit of protection properties into it, and it's also going to help with motivation and energy working. So just because someone has a bunch of clients doesn't mean they'll necessarily have the energy. This is where this comes in to sort of fill in the gaps of this. It's also something where you don't necessarily have to add it, but it still will amplify the effects of whatever you're working with. So why not add it? And I have an abundance of it, as you can see. So yeah, that's basically all you have to do for the spell jar. If you like to, you can also place a petition wrapped in your DNA into this, and you can bind it with either red or black thread. The black would be for protection or dominance. The red would be for any sort of power or any sort of attraction. Or if you would like to, you can use another color if you have anything that's more specific than that. But yeah, that's how you make this spell jar. If you'd like to know how to make more spell jars and more different things related to hoodoo or witchcraft, just leave it in the comments below and I'll make a video about that. Also, I will be launching my first ever spell kits for the channel. It is something that I'm working on steadily, so it's not going to be like a big push for it. But it is just going to be something that will help me to not only to reach more people, but just to sort of deliver more impact to people and have them learn a bit more about the practice. So yeah, that's the end of the video. If you'd like to know anything else about witchcraft or hoodoo related topics, just leave it in the comments below. Have a good day, not life. Enjoy yourself and be happy.